you tell a boxer is good is based on their movement, their calmness, how they move around the ring. So they can move very calmly under pressure. If you see a boxer who's calm under pressure and they're moving very relaxed, their movements are all controlled, that's how I can tell, and that's a big difference now that I can see with Conor. Conor's looking pretty good. Of course, this is a spar, everyone's still learning, you can't really win in a spar. So that's what it's all about. And I'm here with Marwan right now.
Yo.
So we're at the Melbourne Convention today, and Marwan's about to spar. He's got the right idea, his shirt's off.
Yep.
That's how, mate, he's flexing, right? What's the secret to boxing?
I think it's footwork and movement, man. Movement for sure.
Mate, you know what? When they say movement and footwork, that gets me excited.
We'll put on the show.
Mate, that's what it's all about. So I'm going to break down how sparring kind of happens and what we see as well.
Don't bash each other, that's all it is.
How many rounds?
Just 2-3 rounds. Let me know how you feel after the second and we go again. Remember, slick fast boxing just like you actually do. Alright, let's go.
So we have Marvin in the red shoes and Huss in the black shoes. So straight away, what you want to do is you want to find your timing. So if you can find your timing, find your distance, then you can get all your punches to work. And really, people say you always start with the jab, but you can start with any punch that you want. Depends on the experience. But the reason why they go start with the jab over any lead hand is because it's the easiest one to reach. So Marwan's doing pretty good. He's got a versatile left hand, and he's able to throw the jab, the lead uppercut, and the left hook as well, and that goes pretty well. It's just 2 minute rounds here, and just some light competitive sparring just in front of the Melbourne Convention Centre, which is where we're at. So just a nice light spar. Doesn't need to be too hard because there's nothing on the line, but when you're sparring as well, that's when you can use this opportunity to learn and work on techniques that you've experienced. A lot of high-level gyms, like in the United States, they'll do their own training, but when it comes down to sparring, the coaches will watch and they'll make assessments to make recommendations for what the worker needs to work on. So Marwan's doing really good, and he's got good movement, good head movement, and he's nice and relaxed as well. Huss is doing good also, but he's just punching a little bit short, but he does have nice pressure. Just keep moving forwards. So really, one thing you have to always remember is you can't win spars. It's all about learning, it's all about developing your craft. Of course, when it's on the line for fights, that's when you want to put more pressure and more time on it. So it's round 2 now, and usually when you've come back to the corner, your coach has made the recommendations. So here I just told Huss, keep it longer, and you want to control with the jab. You don't want to let your opponent do whatever he wants to do, especially when they start trying to do some fancy things. You don't really need to do fancy things in boxing. Basics win fights, and that's what it's all about. And say even with the strategy when it comes to coaching as well, when you're back in the corner, your coach will make a determination about what you need to do. Generally, if your opponent has, won that round, if you're saying this is a spar, then they will usually say, yep, be more aggressive, put in more pressure, start walking forwards. Of course, sometimes you fight opponents that are a bit harder to attack, they're a bit quicker, so you got to use a bit more evasive tricks. So here, Marvin's going good, and this is the beauty of going light sparring, because you can work on techniques without any pressure. That's good, Us. And pressure does make diamonds, but too much pressure is not good, especially if you're young and you're still developing. So here, you throw nice body shots, you can work on your timing, and timing is one of the most important things for boxing as well. Good, Marvin. Sometimes you'll see boxers sparring with their hands down, and while everyone says, yep, hands got to be up, having your hands down is okay in certain situations. Like in amateurs, it's used a lot more, but in the pros, But it's all about knowing when to do it, but also having the right coach to do it as well. Like it is a very Olympic style of boxing, and some pros do it, but as always, you want to get the basics down first. Time. Alright, so Huss has been in now for third round, and now Connor's in. So Connor is a young gun, 16, and he's had about 20 fights. So in Australia as well, there's two different associations for amateur boxing. There's the league as well as the association. So the league, I believe you can get more fights, but association, that's a pathway you want to go to if you want to head towards the Olympics. So straight away here, how can you tell a boxer is good? It's based on their movement, their calmness, how they move around the ring. So they can move very calmly under pressure. If you see a boxer who's calm under pressure and they're moving very relaxed, their movements are all controlled, that's how you can tell, and that's a big difference now that I can see with Connor. Connor's looking pretty good. Of course, this is a spar, everyone's still learning, you can't really win in a spar. So that's what it's all about. And yes, as well, we're in a big open environment and there's a lot of people watching as well. But of course, how can you focus on not paying attention to the crowd while you're sparring? Because when you spar enough and you put everything on the line, put a lot of emphasis, you don't really focus on the crowd. All you're focusing is the person in front of you, and everyone else just kind of melts away into the background. So here, Huss is trying to find his timing just to get in. Connor's doing good at controlling it, but the experience does show, right? So the more fights you have, what happens is you're more calmer under any situation. You don't get as disturbed as normally as you would, and that's a key. That was a good combination by Huss, and of course it does depend on what gym you're from as well. Every gym has a certain style that they all use. Good combination coming back. And this is just nice, clean amateur boxing. So amateur boxing, usually you'll get people just scoring and throwing punches, and that's what you want. Second round now for Connor, fourth round for Huss. So even though Huss hasn't had as much rest, sometimes under pressure, that's who you know what you're made of as well. And more rounds in a way is good, even though you don't need as many rounds in amateurs, it does let you test your technique. How economical is your movement? So right there we saw a hook come from Huss, and then Connor came right back with his own hook. So you always hear the saying, don't hook with a hooker. Sometimes if your opponent has a better hook than you, hooking can leave you in a bad situation, especially because it just leaves you vulnerable. And it's like rock, paper, scissors, right? It's like playing rock and the other person has paper. Yeah, you know, even if you're faster throwing rock, the other person still has paper. So you want to know what you can and you can't do. There's a lot of sayings in boxing and a lot of them go true, like, you know, stick and move, touch them up, hit and not get hit, punch them in the face and don't get hit in the face and you win the round, which is generally true. So right now Huss is doing pretty well, doing a bit of movement, just throwing light punches. Connor looks like he has a bit more power, and that comes from his stance. He's a lot more composed. His balance is quite nice. And it might be a little bit of a pro style because it comes from the Ellis gym as well, but it is up to preference, right? Like, you know, every boxer should learn every single style as well. So you can hear from Connor's corner, just to box him. And you know what? Yes, this is a competitive spar, and it's a light spar almost. But if it's a sparring, sometimes it can turn to a wall. You know, you never really know. So good sportsmanship by the both boxers.